Okay, so this is just gonna be a super chill, laid back video because I recently did a 30-day content creation challenge, 30 days of creating short form content. And I just wanted to share some of the things that I've learned and some of the thoughts that I've had during the process. I am super sick today, as might be heard in my voice. And I know that this video will probably get about 2 or 3 views at most, and that's fine. I just feel like I needed to share this, and if somebody gets something out of this and is able to take their content creation journey way further than mine, that's awesome. And I wanted to do it today, even though I'm sick, because it's fresh in my mind, and I figured, why not? So here we go. I've got some notes written down, so I'm just going to kind of read off that. All right, so basically, I've been posting content on social media for years and years and years, mostly for fun. I started in maybe 2015 because I had a band, and I understood that social media was part of the game, so I tried to get better at it over time, but mostly was just having fun. It was just like, hey, look at this cool thing I can do, or hey, look at this cool song that we wrote. And I think as you get more and more into the music and film industry, there's like a part of you that thinks, oh my God, I have to become a content creator or a social media guy because that's how you get clients and that's how you get your name out there. And there is a truth to that, for sure. There is a truth to that, a level of truth. But I don't think you need a big following to make a living out of being a sound engineer or I don't know. I'm a sound engineer, so I can only speak to being a sound engineer and a music producer. I don't think you need a big following for that. I think you need to be good at what you do, and you do need to network in general, but I don't think you need a big following for that. So anyway, I got it in my head that there was this need to be well known on social media. So I started to put some effort into it, and I would say 2020, I really started to kick it into high gear. I have a buddy who does video editing, and he was like, he'll help me out. I pay him a monthly fee, and it was fun. One of the cool things that content creation gets you thinking about is storytelling and how to write a story. Even if it's a short story, like, a 1-minute story, what you're trying to do is you're trying to engage people. You're trying to hook them in. You're trying to give them some sort of value, whether it's through entertainment or education, and then leave them with something. And, with content creation specifically, that usually ties into leading them either to follow you, like your stuff, comment, click on a link to their website or buy something from me. So there's like a business element connected to it. And I would say every content creator is like that. And that's awesome. No judgment. I think that's great. But personally, I really enjoy the storytelling side of things. I love being creative. I've written music most of my life. I love writing music. I love creating stories and just being creative. So that part of content creation was really, really fun. So I would say that was the driving motivation. It was like, hey, maybe I need to build myself on social media to get more clients, or, maybe there's some validation aspect of it as well. We all look for that validation. That's, you can't deny that. But I have noticed that like numbers, like followers, views, it doesn't really give you that much validation. Like, it gives you very temporary validation, but it's nothing that's worth really pursuing for me personally. So yeah, that's a little bit of an intro to this whole thing. And then the past couple of months, I've been working on trying to get my content better and better and better. And I was encouraged to do a 30-day content creation challenge where every day of November I create one piece of content, short form content, and make it as good as I can, make it as detailed and well produced and thought out in terms of like hook, like an engaging hook, body, give value, and then they call it call to action, so CTA. So hey, follow me or like my shit, And I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I keep kind of like toying with the whole social media thing. Fine. Why don't I just give it like 1,000% for 1 month? And hey, if something comes of it, at least I tried, right? And if I end up hating it, at least I tried, and I can walk away from it and scot-free and, feeling fine that I actually tried. Because that's the thing, right? It's like, it's never the feeling that you failed that hurts. Well, I guess it does hurt, but what hurts even more is the feeling that you never tried. So anyway, November, every day I made one piece of content, and I talked about music, film, video games, anything to do with audio in that space. So I would say some of the lessons that I learned from that, right? One, it is hard. It is hard to make good, engaging, short form content. I think a lot of times I would take for granted all these cool content creators and be like, oh, that's fun and that's a cool little dopamine hit. But I bet you they literally took 5 seconds to do it. And some of them have, some of them are either just incredible in that way, or they just have some sort of charisma or something that kind of engages you. But for the lay person like myself and like all of us, making an engaging piece of content is hard. Like even the hardest thing about the whole process for me was coming up with what to say, what to talk about. Because it can't just be like, oh, here's the music of Horizon Zero Dawn, it's awesome. Like, dude, nobody cares about that shit. Like, no, it's not a strong enough opinion. It adds no value. There's no entertainment in it. It's just like, here's what I think. Like, it's stupid. So you have to find something that could pique people's interest. Again, if you're trying to approach social media and content creation in a way that is to bring people into your following, then you do have to be the one providing value, right? You have to like give them something to be entertained by or educated on. And so the easiest way to do that, at least for me, was to find something that I find entertaining and I find educational. And if I found it one of those things, then somebody else probably will too. So like for the Horizon games, I had no idea the way the composers approached the video game, because the game is like this post-apocalyptic landscape where there's like machines and stuff ruling the planet, and the humans are kind of like these tribes, like almost like cavemen, right? And so the composers approached the music like, hey, if one of these people, like these cavemen tribe people, came across a guitar and didn't have any context on how to play it, how would they play it? And so they do all kinds of wacky things to get these weird sounds with the guitar. See, that stuff is interesting. So finding those tidbits of information was like the hardest part of this entire process. Just scouring through interviews, listening to these long podcasts and watching videos and stuff behind the scenes just to find one little bit of information that piques your curiosity. That was the hardest part. It was also the most time-consuming part, is finding something interesting. And I think what they call that phase is called ideation. So you're trying to find something that you could potentially flesh out, right? So that was the hardest part. That was the most time-consuming part. It was also the least fun part, in my opinion. I typically enjoy these tidbits and when you come across them, but to go looking for them and scour through all that information, that was That was boring and very time consuming. And I'm not a good reader. I can barely read one sentence without having to go back and read it again, right? Fun fact that you might not know. Very sick, by the way. But my voice probably sounds pretty good. Metal Gear, it can't be. Whoa, that's like the best Snake voice I've ever had. Kept you waiting, huh? All right. So, that's the first thing I learned, is that trying to find something interesting to talk about and, something that will pique anybody's interest, specifically, the people who think like me, that was the hardest part. It took the longest amount of time to do that. Another thing that I learned is that this whole algorithm breakdown, like, there's so much content nowadays, and like, this is what the algorithm needs, and hey, this is what you do to retain. And look, I'm not shitting on any of that stuff. I think some of it is very valuable. I think a lot of it is horseshit. But the algorithm, nobody knows what the algorithm is doing. Nobody. I don't think even Google or Facebook know what the algorithm is doing, which may be a good thing or a bad thing, right? But I think you can get caught in a very dark spiral if you start trying to chase the algorithm. I don't recommend it. Thankfully, I'd already tried that over the years, and I was like, this is counterproductive. I'm getting bitter and hateful towards the process. So for this 30-day challenge, I was like, I'm not chasing the algorithm. I'm going to try to make engaging videos, and whatever happens, right? So chasing the algorithm, it's stupid. It's like, you can't predict what it's going to do. It's going to change every 30 days, or not even. It might change every 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. And it's, there's so much content nowadays, and it's so hard to break through the noise. So I kind of put that whole, cracking the code, to get all the followers and the view. I kind of put that behind me. I'm like, you know what? Whatever, forget that stuff, because I knew that would drag me down. It would drive me crazy. There was a period in my life where I was a super control freak, and I wanted to control the outcome of everything, and that's stupid. That's totally stupid, and it's very counterproductive, and it can lead you down some very dark paths. So I don't advise chasing the algorithm. I do advise, just focusing on making cool stuff. I think that's always the best way to go about things, because more often than not, if you find something cool and you do something with it, or you share it, or you have a conversation about it, somebody else will find it cool. We're human. We're connected in very similar ways. So that was another part of it. Just gonna take a sip of coffee. I know I'm sick. Shouldn't be having coffee, but that's what enables this voice, this Solid Snake, Metal Gear. All right. So next part of the puzzle was, or another thing that I learned, is about consistency. So as a part of the challenge, I wanted to do one piece of content every day. So that would force discipline on me. It would force that consistency onto me. And I think a lot of people do have trouble with consistency. I personally, if I enjoy what I'm doing, I don't have a problem with consistency. That's not to say that there won't be difficult days, or days where I feel burnt out or edging on burning out. But I usually don't have a problem with consistency. I love putting in the hours towards something if I find it meaningful and if I find it productive and engaging. So, for example, as you could probably guess, making content about music, specifically for these films and video games that I enjoy, it was very fulfilling and engaging in multiple dimensions, right? So consistency was no problem. The good thing about being consistent, which I've noticed, is that it does work in your favor in terms of growth. So I did see a rise in my followers. I did see a rise in my views. I did see a rise in my just overall engagement and people reaching out. Absolutely saw that. It might have been small. I think over the course of a month, I might have gained like 500 followers across all platforms. And that's nothing, I know, considering 30 days of content. But I mean, that's not nothing, right? It's like, oh, okay. So if you put in work every single day and try to produce the best you can, and if it's engaging content that people find interesting and you do it well, you have an opportunity to grow. So that was really interesting to see. So as much as I shit on the whole chasing the algorithm and like, don't do that, and just, there is a part of it which is like, hey, if you just make interesting shit, there's a good chance that the algorithm will favor you and push it towards other people. So consistency definitely helped in that regard. Consistency wasn't hard for me, but it definitely helped, right? Now, one of the things I learned really early, like almost before I even started this challenge, because I was making videos before that, one of the things that I really learned was if you're not well known, if you don't have a big follower count or view count, nobody really cares what you have to say. Nobody really cares about your opinion or your thoughts or, whatever. So you could just, one strategy could be stick to plain facts, right? Like, hey, in Horizon Zero Dawn, the composers did this. And that's probably a better bet than a random person saying, hey, in Horizon Zero Dawn, this is awesome. Like, who cares, dude? Who are you, right? The other strategy is that you kind of get out of your own head and get out of your own thoughts and direct it outwards and be like, hey, did you know that in Horizon Zero Dawn, blah, 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 blah. And then I think this is cool as a music producer and sound engineer because blah, 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 blah. So there's a connection there from, hey, this is content for you guys that you might want to know. And here you go. It's like providing this kind of, here you go. It's about you. It's about the listener, the viewer. And then, if you catch them with something engaging, they might actually stay a little longer, like a couple of seconds longer, to be like, to listen to you say, hey, because I'm this. So what I'm trying to say, this is a complicated way of saying that I discovered that making it less about myself and more about the viewer and more about what would someone want to hear and how would they want to hear it. Especially because they don't know who I am. They don't know I've been in music and film for 16 years. They don't know any of this stuff. So how would they want to be approached? How would I want to be approached, whether in content or whatever? How would I want to be approached by somebody who I'd never seen before, right? So, and specifically one of the things that I tried to do was in my scripts, I tried to count the number of times I said I, the word I, and if it was too high, I'd have to rewrite the whole script because I needed to change it to be more about you or they or, they, them. So I would go into my scripts and like, if I saw the word I, if I saw the use of the word I too many times, I'd be like, this is messed up. Now, how do I change this line from I think this is really good to the composers felt that it was really good, or you might find this really good, or if you think this is good, then I agree with it. Or you know what I mean? Like I would restructure it to you, the viewer, you. So I'd always go through my scripts in order to do that. And I think that really helped. Like I said, I think if you come on camera and start talking about I this, I this, I that, I think people just are like, dude, I don't care. Who are you? Like, yeah, I don't care. Unless you have like a super controversial opinion or like, but even then you'd probably be drowned in all the other controversial opinions. So, yeah, focusing it more outwards was definitely a good strategy that worked for me. So something I learned there. So this is kind of a interesting point. Another thing that I learned is that I love stories. Storytelling has been a big part of my life. It's meant so much to me. You know, I watched some anime that changed my life. The Matrix. Music is basically storytelling. And yeah, I love stories for what they can do, what they can impart, and they can even make you become a better person. I truly believe that I am a much better person because of some of the stories that I grew up with. You know, the heroes that I grew up with, like Goku and Naruto, and all those stories. The Matrix, even it's basically the hero's journey, right? So I think they're the most powerful things we have, and I love them. I love a good story. And with content creation, you're essentially trying to make a story. It's like a very tiny 1-minute story. The thing that I discovered, which I don't like, is that, a story has peaks and valleys to kind of take you on a journey. With content creation in 1-minute formats, it's a very tight window where you can have that motion. And even if you do it extremely well, the time frame is so small that the feeling of fulfillment is not as powerful. Like there is something to do with time span and like the payoff and the fulfillingness of it. So for example, I was just playing The Last of Us. I'm replaying that game, and there's this moment where I forget the guy's name. I think his name is Bill or Bob, but Joel and Ellie go to this guy Bob's place, and they need to get a car from him. They go through all these hurdles and stuff, and Bob is like, "Dude, don't get close to this kid, because my partner and I." We were kind of like, we were going to war together and stuff. We were trying to stay alive, but the only thing a partner is good for is to get you killed. It's like, don't fall into that trap, right? And so, you think that, oh, it's his buddy, and they're like war buddies. They're trying to fight off the infection, et cetera, et cetera. And then, over the course of this time, you see how bitter and jaded this guy Bob is. And then eventually you get to his partner's house, his partner Frank's house, and you see Frank hung himself because he just got infected, so he didn't want to spread it. And it just breaks Bob. Again, I hope his name is Bob. Maybe it's Bill or something. And so that's tragic. That hurts. And this is happening like over the course of like 30 minutes or like an hour, right? And so it hurts, and so he gets like whatever. He's like, "Oh, whatever, you stupid bastard! You shouldn't have killed yourself, or whatever, right?" And then even better, another 30 minutes or an hour goes by, and it's like Joel and Ellie are in this car that they got from him, and Ellie had stolen a magazine from his place, and it's like a men's. Like nude magazine, so it's like naked guys, so it's like Playboy but for men, I guess, for gay men, and she stole it from Bob's house or Bill's house or whatever his name is, and then you realize, oh, he's gay, and his partner is actually his partner, and come on, like, and that was told over the course of this 2-hour stretch. It's a beautiful payoff, and I think there's something to do with if you delay that payoff, if you can delay it as much as you can, properly, not like contrived, but if you can properly delay that payoff, when it does happen, it just hits so much differently. So with a 1 minute piece of content, it's like it's so narrow that it's not as fulfilling. For me personally, it's not as fulfilling to kind of you don't feel that big release after watching it. I don't care how good the piece of content is. You can't feel that that real fulfillment. I think so. So I learned that as a part of doing this, because I had to like really watch what short form content creators were doing, and I tried to study as much as I could, and I got really enveloped in the whole social media thing, really went down the rabbit hole, and I realized, one, how time consuming it is. Yeah, they're 1 minute videos, but I had to watch a ton of them to really get into it. And two, how unfulfilling it is. Not only is one video not as unfulfilling, not only is one video as unfulfilling, but even watching 1,000 videos, it's unfulfilling. So if you're going to spend 2 hours watching 1 minute videos and still be unfulfilled, I personally would rather play the 2 hours of that game just for that little story to play out. I don't know if I'm making sense, but 1 minute content is just not fulfilling to me. It's fun. It's playful. I like fun and playful every now and then. It's not something that I would want to do it's not something that I would want to do as a job. It's not something that I would want to do if I had to do it. I think, again, I don't know. Maybe if somebody... It would have to really be worth it, because I'll tell you what, I wasn't getting the same sort of fulfillment and engagement that I was when I watch a great story or I play a great video game. So, hey, if somebody pays me like $1,000 a video to make short form content for them, yeah, totally, I would probably do it. But is it something that I would want to pursue on my own, out of my own, desire for what? Followers? Is it something that I would drive myself to do? No, not really. The reward wouldn't be it wouldn't be worth it. Even no matter how many followers, right? I feel it would be a trap for me. The same thing happened when I, did the anime covers on this channel. I know a lot of people really loved those anime covers, and I loved doing them. And I still get comments, on the Diver Naruto video. And I can't believe it. That video is so old. I am so old now. I'm 33. I'm about to retire. It's time to get to the golden years of my life. I'm glad that people like them, but I never wanted to do them past a point where I was passionate about it. I think that's important as a storyteller, musician, artist, whatever it is. I think first and foremost, you got to be excited about what you're doing. If you're not excited about it, fine, but then there's got to be a reward for it in terms of whether it's financial. But even if it is a financial reward, I would feel good because I would know that I could then take care of myself, my family, and stuff. So I'm still getting something out of it. And for the anime cover videos, after a certain point, I wasn't getting... I knew that I wasn't going to get what I truly wanted out of it. It was fun while it lasted. And the same thing happened with this content creation thing. It's like I loved it for what it was. I had a blast. But is this something that I want to do for a hypothetical, future in being a content creator? No. I don't necessarily want to be an influencer. I don't really find it that appealing. Maybe there was a part of me that wanted fame and validation and stuff, but I think that part of me is slowly dying, which I'm totally fine to let die. So, short form content, not as fulfilling. So I don't see it being a thing that I do consistently like the way I did this month. Maybe if I had gone, 3 months every day, maybe I would actually have a huge following, and then I would be able to provide and et cetera, and make money and all that. But it's just not fulfilling enough for me to do. Like, yeah, just personally not fulfilling enough. So I will take a break from it. I might still post here and there, obviously, but in terms of making that really short form, produced, well thought out, I'll probably take a little break from it. I might do it again sometime. But yeah, don't see it in the foreseeable future. The other thing that I learned is that social media is addictive as hell. There's so much crap on there, so much fucking bullshit on there. Like I said, when I get into something, I really like to sink my teeth into it. And I got really like overwhelmed, and like I was drowning under the sea of content. It's insane, dude. And like, it's not all good content. It's like, there's a lot of stuff that will really mess with your head. It'll have you questioning your manhood, your financial situation, your physical situation, your marital situation, relationships. It'll question your humanity. It's really dark. Like how it's really dark that, you know, after a certain point you can spiral, and you know, the algorithm gives you more of what you're watching, right? So, and you don't even feel that anything's happening because it's a 1 minute piece of content, right? It's like, oh, 1 minute. Oh, that made me feel kind of insecure, but whatever. And then like 5 videos later, there's a similar video. And then like after an hour, you've watched all these little pokes at your ego, or pokes at your manhood, or pokes at your marital thing. And yeah, I'm that affects you. I'm pretty sure it does, because it definitely fucked with my head. So yeah, it's not a great place. Social media, I should reframe that. Social media is a very interesting place. It can be very dark and it can be very unhealthy, but I also simultaneously think that there are still a lot of good content creators and educational and entertainment things out there. You just gotta make sure you distinguish the two, I guess, and curate your feed. I'm pretty sure I've heard people say that. Yeah, I mean, one of the other things that I learned about this whole process, and something that I knew I would benefit from, is that I had to articulate my thoughts in a way that made sense to other people. This is something that I've struggled with my whole life. Speaking, communicating. You know, I was always a shy kid. In relationships, I always, you know, I didn't know how to express what I wanted to express. It would be expressed in the wrong way a lot of times, or I just wouldn't express them and just walk away. And, you know, it's something that I'm not proud of and I want to get better at. So one thing that helped me do it was music, because you have to figure out what you're trying to say and how to, you know, express that. But short form content, this 30-day challenge, really helped me take my thoughts. Hey, I find this interesting. Okay, what is it that you find interesting? Oh, okay. Well, how did that come about? Oh, that's interesting. Do you think other people would find it interesting? No? Well, maybe you can spin it in a way that would pique somebody's interest. So it really helped, like, see, I can't even express it now. I'm terrible at expressing my thoughts. It really helped me define my thoughts, articulate my thoughts. And that's always a helpful thing. It's always a great thing to have if you can articulate yourself, right? At least I think so. So that was really, really helpful. Like I said, I didn't get a lot of followers from this. I didn't get a lot of, you know, new things from this. But, well, that's not true. But I did learn a lot about how to articulate things. I did get good at scripting. Oh my God, I am sick. I did get better at scripting. I did get better at speaking on the microphone, even though I was pretty comfortable with all that stuff. As you can probably hear now, I don't mind talking on a microphone, and I can articulate if I want to and enunciate. but it does take effort. I wanted to be a voiceover artist. There was a period of time when I wanted to be a voiceover artist because I was watching so much anime. I was like, I would love to do some anime. Come on, I would love to do that. Like, これが現実だ. Like, come on, I would just do some awesome VO stuff. But yeah, so that was all easy. But the articulating, the kind of getting your thoughts down, especially if you have like a chaotic brain like me, just like where everything is just like fucking blown apart, putting the pieces together, I think is a really good thing just for your own sanity. And it's a really good thing because it helps you learn how to articulate and speak, in a proper way. And the great thing about learning how to do short form content is that you got to cut out all the fat, right? Like, there's so much awesome music in a game like Metal Gear Solid that you can't fit all that information into one video. And this is something that I got some feedback over the time. And one of the things that always hit me was like, dude, you're just saying too much. Just what's one thing that's awesome about this music? Focus on it, or else you're just blabbering on and on and on, like I'm probably doing now. How long is this video? I don't know what it is. So the short form content creation forces you to focus on one thing, get it down, put it in a consistent, nice little package, boom, and get it out there. It really dials in like your focus and makes you focus on that thing and articulate it properly. So I really think that was a huge benefit. I think if you ever want to like learn how to make your thoughts more concise and laser pointed and stuff, I would totally recommend trying short form content. Totally worth the learning process of it. So yeah, I think that's basically everything that I learned. I'm sure for the 2 or 3 people who made it through this video, I hope you learned something. I hope you're able to take this and go 10x the distance I could, and or if you just had a good time. But either way, that's what I learned.